What is up, guys? In this video I'm going to show you how I made a cool Apple II 3D model in Blender, and I'm also going to quickly jump into Affinity Photo and Designer. And yeah, so it's super excited. Let's get started. I'm not that good at Blender, so hopefully I don't mess this up. And yeah, like the rest of my life. Anyways, yeah, so like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my other videos, and let's get started. Be strong. Cool, so the first thing I did was I turned on import images as planes. And it's one of the, I think it's add-on in Blender. I'm so new at Blender, so please forgive me. And then I just imported the reference image, and I wasn't gonna trace it. I was just gonna eyeball it. So yeah, that was me quickly using the default cube and eyeballing it. Then I just push I to insert and create. I'm watching this over, and it's crazy fast. I didn't think it was this fast when I was doing it, but basically, I just subdivided the inserted face. And then use proportional editing to grab and pull out the whatchamacallit, the face to have a little screen on it. Now I'm just kind of looking at it, and the cool thing about like a computer is that it's just very basic shapes. It's just a block, so it's easy for beginners, I guess. Control R is going to do a loop cut, and that's what I did. And then I basically just went back and individually selected these little faces, and then kind of create the keyboard E to extrude, and then S to scale. And I think it's either Alt E. I think it's Alt E where you can extrude along normals. And when you do this, if you have different faces selected, it'll go along the normals of the faces selected. So for instance, if I had a face on the left side and a face on the right side of the computer selected, and I push E, it's going to extrude one direction. It's not going to go either, it's not going to go along the way that you want, which is in that case out. So you do extrude along normal, so it would go facing out relative to the face. Super useful. I found that out, and yeah, and with the insert faces, when I'm doing the keys right here, basically all I do is I push I, and then that's going to get a face inside, and then I just kind of go in there and then extrude up. And then if for whatever reason it's having this weird glitch thing, you just kind of double tap I, and then that usually gets the it'll insert the individual faces and not all of it, because I did have that issue in the beginning. This isn't the cleanest. I'm doing it really fast, so please forgive me. I don't like when you make loop cuts. It makes all these additional edges and stuff, so I'm always having to come back and clean that up. I don't need all of those edges. If anyone knows in the comments how to fix that, that would be really awesome, because it was really annoying when I was creating this the whole time. I was just like, geez, this is really messy mesh, and I'm just trying to keep a simple box. I guess I could have just added like more objects and cubes on the side, but I was just trying to keep one object and not make it too hard on myself, especially since this is my first like official model in Blender. I mean, like finishing a model, I guess. I don't know. Let me know if you guys want this source file. I mean, it's just kind of a replica Apple II, and it's not that good texturing. You'll see later. But yeah, I had fun doing this. It was really exciting. I'm just going to kind of change things up a little bit and do things like Blender, and show that I can do more than just one one type of program. If you guys are watching this and you have questions about this particular, I can kind of go in more detail about what I do on Blender. I'm not an expert at Blender. It's pretty complicated. There's so many shortcuts and stuff like that, but basically it's the same thing. If you've been watching with my Affinity Photo videos, it's the same concept of building shapes, or this Affinity Designer one. You use simple shapes, and using these simple shapes we kind of create what we want. And yeah, so here I am just inserting a face on the side, which actually came back to bite me in the butt later. It started casting a shadow, and I don't know if I should have recalculated the normals or what, but yeah, so I'm just inserting a face again, and then I think you do 1, 2, or 3 on the number pad. And hold on, I'm like really hot. sorry. You do 1, 3, 1 or 3 on the number pad, and then it should get it set up to where it is either in point select mode, edge select mode, or face select mode. And I just kept going in between those. And actually, I don't think it's in the number pad thing, so I'm not too sure. But anyways, like I said, for the millionth time, just let me know, what you guys want to see. If you want me to go in depth with Affinity Publisher, if you want me to go more in depth with Blender here, just let me know. I also have Affinity Photo course coming, or not course. I do have an Affinity Photo course, but I also have an Affinity video coming after this. So hopefully, everyone's happy. So anyways, back to what I'm saying. So I just kind of shift A to create a new mesh, and then a plane to go ahead and start creating like lighting and stuff. And I was going to make it like identical to the actual original picture. As you can see here, I'm kind of trying to get some area lights and that shift A light, and then go over to a light panel, which is that green light bulb on the right side. And you just select that, then change it to an area light, and then increase the strength. And I put it on each side to kind of make it look more like the original picture. But then the more I was looking at it, I was like, man, this looks pretty freaking lame and pretty boring. So I'm just going to use some artsy-fartsy stuff and change things up. So here I am. Sorry, this is a lot to say, like a little bit. Playing with the settings here of the camera. I'm just turning on bloom, ambient occlusion, and subsurface screen shatter, or subsurface, not subsurface scattering. It's that one thing that I checked. See, whatever I checked, it just basically allows reflections when you're using the Eevee engine. And another thing, here I am doing the UVs, and it's pretty bad as far as IQ projected UV unwrap. You just push U, select A, or push A in edit mode, which selects all, then push U to unwrap, and then now I'm in UV editor tab, and I'm just kind of I'm in the texture paint thing, and I've just started to paint it. Now, normally I would have a color palette already loaded in, and the image texture linked up to the material. This sounds really confusing. If you don't know anything that I'm talking about, just let me know if you want me to go more in detail. But basically, all of these objects have a material, and those materials, you can change the base color and give it like an image texture for the base color of the material. So in the shader editor, I selected a image texture node, and I made sure to link it to the one I created here on the texture painting. And when you do that, it'll live paint on the right side, and you can kind of see it update. Now the problem with my method of it is I didn't smart UV project, and also didn't mark seams, and these are a lot of topics that are like really need to be go in detail, and so please forgive me if I'm not explaining it. You can see right here I'm starting to link the image texture. I mean, like, there's an example right there in the shader. Boom, I linked the image texture. But basically my UVs are trash, and and part of it is because I'm trying to get used to the brushes and the brush system and painting with Blender, because I'm used to like professional painting software like Clip Studio Paint, and like Affinity Photo even has a better paint, or even Photoshop. They all have better brushes than Blender, and like, no offense to Blender, but like, when I only could find one brush, and I didn't have time to sit there and figure out how to do all of the brush settings and stuff like that. And even on my drawing tablet, it was kind of a nightmare to do. For whatever reason, Blender is just not like, the hotkeys are just, they just make you like blow your head out, and get like, because I remember when Blender before, it's like 2.8 update, or I think it was like 2.7 update, everything was backwards. Like, all the industry standard stuff, it was backwards. So like, if you would right click to get like settings or something on every application that you've ever done ever, probably on any software on Mac, Linux, or Windows, right click is getting settings, but in Blender, right click's moving around. And now they have it to where it's reverse. So once you get used to all those hotkeys, now they're kind of leaning to where you can have any industry standard thing. And here I am just kind of drawing in the textures. Basically, you can hit tab and then go over to edit mode, select the face. You find the face over here in the UV edit mode, select all of it, and then move it to where you need to paint on the actual image. Back to what I was saying, but yeah, it is very much a there's a huge learning curve with Blender. It's not something that's like beginner friendly, in my opinion, because like, you know, with like GIMP or any software that you use, if a photo manipulating software, I'm using this example, you use Photoshop, you get comfortable with Photoshop, okay, cool, you go over to Affinity Photo, you know most of it, it's pretty much mirrored. Go over to GIMP, pretty much mirrored. Now you go paint on that, pretty much mirrored. You come over here to Blender, and then it's like, okay, well, normally I would hold shift and click and it would just make a line for me. Nope, not in Blender. You know, and I mean, I'm not gonna go too specific into the brush things, but just know it's a lot to learn. It really is, and there's nothing against Blender. I love Blender. I think it's great. I've used for several projects, but it is just lets you guys know that if you're a beginner and you're watching this, like, just know that you're gonna have to learn a lot, and there's a lot to absorb with Blender. So yeah, so here I am jumping back into Affinity Photo, which Affinity Designer, which I'm really comfortable in. So I'm gonna create a really fast, like, mock fake, not fake, but yeah, it was fake Apple logo. Please, Apple, don't sue me, please. And yeah, so here I am just kind of using the Boolean tool. I just created a quick shape to kind of create an apple, and then I think I'm going to edit this later because I want it to be like Apple 2. What if this whole thing wasn't even Apple 2? It's like Apple 1 or something. Like, it wasn't even the thing that I think. Anyways, so here I am using the corner tool to kind of round those out a little bit, and I am really half butt doing this logo. I mean, I really don't care too much about it because, like I said, it's not for a client, and once I got to this point, I was pretty tired because I was just like, dang, dude, this is a lot to get used to. So yeah, here I am kind of adding some texture in here because I'm so much more used to the brushes in Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo, and I also have bought brushes in Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo. So if you guys would like for me to go over some Affinity brushes that I bought, some recommendations and my reviews of them, just let me know. I will also do that if you let me know. I mean, like I said, you just gotta let me know what you guys want to see and I will provide. So, you know, you guys are awesome, and all those love and support that you've been giving me so far has really inspired me to create more videos. And as you know, I'll create as many videos as you guys need, you know, and so hopefully you guys grow in your journey and become better graphic designers and 3D designers and game developers, which I'm working on a game development tutorial, I promise. I just can only do so much at one time, and quite frankly, it's just started a new job, so it's been really exhausting overall. So here I am, I probably should just left it here because honestly, this looks fine. This looks 100% cool. So I don't really know if I'm going to give away this file for free. You know what? I think I'm just gonna give away the source file for free. So I will link it down in the description most likely. And here I am just kind of creating a light, and then I'm changing the material. Let me say this real quick. I'm changing the material face to an emission shader, and when you do this, it's going to emit light. And depending on the engine that you use, Cycles or Blender, Blender is better. Cycles renders engine is better at photons and light, so you'll have a more accurate light reading if you use Blender. However, Eevee is less intensive on your computer, so that's just saying Eevee. And now that I'm looking at this, I was like, dang, probably should have just stayed like this because this looks fine. Because the final product, I feel like it's too you know, like I have the background, and I did all this stuff that was just so unnecessary. I really like that one right there, so I probably should have just left it, but of course I'm over here adding some more. They're just cubes. Do they mean anything? No, but they just add space, and you know, that's, I don't know what I'm doing right here. So basically I'm starting to give new materials to each one of them, and you can just select it and then go over here in the material tab. It's that ball with the that looks like it's like white and black. It's like a sphere. It's the second one from the bottom on the right tab. Then you would create a new material and then go into edit mode and then select it and then hit assign, and then that will assign the new material to that face. Or if you want the whole thing, then select the whole thing and then assign it. Now I'm going to go ahead and change the plane material here to a more reflective surface, and the way that you can do this, actually that does look better actually. The way I love reflective stuff, you can do this is to change the roughness value. I believe a lower roughness allows for more reflections. I cannot remember, but basically either a really low or really high roughness deals with the reflection amount, and the IR is usually the blurriness inside of the actual reflections, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am, so don't take my word on that, but I know the roughness for a fact will change on how reflective the surface is. However, if you are an EV and you want a pure mirror, you're going to use a light probe and reflection plane or something like that. That's what it's called, and that will give you an actual mirror if that's what your end goal is. So these do reflect, but there's a lot of there's not a lot of, but there's I don't know if refraction is the correct word. There's so much to learn when you're doing computer graphics, so it's really hard for me to kind of cover it all in one video. But dang, that looks better than the final one. Like everyone, I'm just looking at it, I'm just like, man, this one looks better than the original. Or like, it's always good to go in with the plan, because obviously it looks like I wasn't going in with the plan. So I just kind of eyeball everything and just kind of do things. So here I am. Oh yeah, so I went into the world settings as well. It's that ball with the line through it, and changed the background and the environmental strength. So I changed the background color and the environmental strength so that it's lower and it's a lot more dark. And when you do that, it allows something, I don't know. It allows it to be a darker scene. So here I am kind of trying to give it a rim light, I guess. I don't know what the heck I was thinking at this point, because I was trying to, I think there's a point where you just kind of are like, okay, well, maybe this is a little too much. And if you are mature enough and, I don't know if really mature is a word, but like self-aware as an artist, to kind of look at it and be like, hey, this is too much. Then that's okay. It's okay to not overcomplicate things. The best designs are really simple, and they get the job done. They have both, you know, they have utility and artsiness. So here I am, like an idiot, switching over to cycles. I mean, there's nothing wrong with cycles, but I think I made the error. Let me tell you about cycles really quick. So cycles is, like I said, photon better. Everything's gonna look better in cycles overall. Think Eevee as like a game rendering engine, and think Cycles as like Disney Pixar movie kind of rendering engine. Okay, so Cycles if you're doing like a film or something, and then Eevee if you're just doing personal projects and don't really care about that. So to get rid of this noise that Cycles is known for, you're going to go into the composition tab. On the top there's a composition tab. I think you can pause it in the video. It's a composition tab. I believe it says rendered and then image output or something like that. But you just need to do Shift A when you need to make sure that the nodes or use node is selected, and then hit Shift A, and then add a denoise node in between the output and the pre-render result or something. I forgot what it's called, but there's like two blocks, and then there's material. I think it's material output or image output or something. Rendered result, and then anyways, put a denoise node right in between it, and it'll take away the noise. I believe you can also check on the side, but no one does that. You can do that or despeckle, but despeckle, in my opinion, doesn't really work unless you do it twice over, which doesn't make sense to me. So do a denoise. So yeah, here I am rendering it. By the way, it takes 1,000 times longer to render in cycles. So if you have a beefier PC, then sure, do it. Also, if you gear everything, here I am right here, boom. See where I'm at compositing, and here I am trying to composite using curves, and nothing changes. So the thing I noticed here was that I don't want to composite in Blender. That's pretty simple. I have Affinity Photo, so I'm going to use Affinity Photo. If you have any photo editing software, I would say just use that. Or if you were doing an animation short, I would say, in my opinion, do the 3D animation or the 2D animation in Blender and then composite it in After Effects or Sony Vegas or whatever video editing that you have, or Premiere or whatever. And when you do that, it's going to look 1,000 times better because Blender is awesome. Like I said, I love Blender. It's great. I love it. It's wonderful for freelancers and stuff. But the thing about Blender, I feel like they try to do so much at once. It's like they're trying to be a jack of all trades, so they can do a lot, which is cool, but it's kind of like, dude, chill out. I mean, I don't know, like, I just feel like I feel like, I don't know how to express this, because I remember when Blender was kind of newer, one of the things that it was being showcased as was a game engine, and I'm glad they dropped that, because I'm just like, dude, chill out. Because I remember thinking, I was like, yeah, you're a game engine, you're a renderer, it's like there's so much, and Blender's not the only one. I'm not trying to boogeyman Blender. And here I am doing a displacement map. All I'm adding is a texture. It can be Perla noise, or anything like that, and then add a displacement node, and then put that into the height, the texture value, and then put that into the displacement part of the rendered result. But anyways, I remember Blender is not the only one who's guilty of this. Unreal does this too, the Unreal game engine, which is fine because they have a wonderful renderer, and it's good that they're trying to expand and stuff. But it kind of worries me because I just don't. It kind of has like the Blizzard effect, I guess. You know how like all these Blizzard people who were really into, I think it was like a new Diablo or something that was coming out, and basically what had happened was the Blizzard's team spent like a year or 2 years or whatever working on Diablo Mobile. I think that's what it was. I think I heard about that, and then one of the guys was like, so is this what you've been working on for 2 to 3 years? Because they're thinking they're gonna get like another Diablo, like a PC or a console, like a full version of it. And then the guys were like, oh yeah, this is what we've been working on. It's not what the people want, and so I'm glad, on a side note, that Blender did that with their game engine. It's just like, it wasn't that strong, no one was really into it. It's cool that they were trying to do it, but at the same time it's just like, it's niche, let's just stay true here. And here I added volumetric fog. Once again, should have just gave up. Way back, it looked way better then, and now that it's actually volumetric scatter, I won't go over it in this video because it's too much to talk about, and I don't want to just kind of gloss over it. Basically, you just create a cube and then change the material to none, and then change the volume to volume scatter. And this is going to, you're going to play with the density, and when you do this, it's going to create like a simulate like fog and stuff. So but yeah, so that's basically what I did, and this is towards the end of the results that I got. But yeah, so you can see how like difference of noise that it was. I mean, before it was really noisy. You can see all the noise, and then after it kind of smooths out. And the thing that you notice is the more light that's in a scene with the Cycles engine, the more noisy it'll seem, because there's so many like calculations and bounce light occurring that it starts to get really like hard to give an accurate representation of the photons and stuff. it still definitely can, but I think it just, there are limitations of the hardware, for instance, that would lack that. And then here I am in Affinity Photo, kind of doing the final composition and stuff. I decided to go with like a retro-y theme, and I was trying to center it to where the I use Frankentoon brushes here. I'm trying to center it to where it's like the main point of focus is the computer. So I'm not overall happy with the Blender render. I think the first one would have been fine before I did all this stuff. And so yeah, but anyways, here I am going in. I'm just going to put the brightness and contrast. And then the clarity, I'm going to jump up the clarity a lot, which is just sharpening it. I'm going to change with the tones, and I probably should have done split toning right here, and then just kind of, so this is in develop persona in Affinity Photo. It's basically like the camera raw filter in Photoshop. So yeah, you just kind of basically go in and move some sliders around and see how it looks and play with it. And the cool thing about having a lot of clarity is it puts on like this deep fringe, kind of like, see the edges? See, it's like red, green. So that's kind of look that I was originally going for. And since I'm not that good at texturing in Blender, I decided to add just like a little like TV wave kind of thing on the on his screen. And it wouldn't be one of my things without adding some wacky inflatable arms, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that to him and stuff. And I probably could have added that in Blender, but why? It's so much harder, at least for me, to add it in Blender when I could just do it right here. And at the end of the day, I can simulate quite a lot of 3D stuff in 2D. I've gotten, thank God, I've gotten a lot better in my 3D or in my 2D painting, that I can use like the mesh warp tool and other perspective tools and stuff to make it simulate like it's a 3D and stuff like that, and blending and compositing. So yeah, so here I am just once again trying to make sure it looks somewhat decent and nice. And oh yeah, so this is the retro supply brush. It has like glitches and all these old TV. It's a pack you can find on Affinity's website, and also I believe like the creator's website as well. I got it. It's about $30, which is pretty pricey for brush pack in my opinion. But yeah, I use it not that much. I used it for like one music album that I did for a client, and now I'm going to use it here. So, but I just think it's a cool effect. I'm going to go ahead and try to get my money's worth, I guess, and use it here too. I'm using the lasso tool to move around the different individual elements on the pixel layer. And yeah, so anyways, that's about gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching so much. I know it's a longer video, but I have a shorter one coming. I literally have to edit it right now. It's going to be the Office themed. I made a fan poster. But if you like this video, just go ahead and let me know. Leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, check out my Skillshare course. And you guys have a great rest of the day. Keep creating. Keep believing in yourself. You can do it. Don't get discouraged, even though the software is insanely hard. Everyone starts somewhere. No one comes out painting the Mona Lisa. So I believe in you. You guys can do it, and I will talk to you later.